back to the next episode of the Sensible Mama podcast. I'm Felina Westcott. With me today is Nikita Lopes. She is a health coach at Best Body Health Coach. She's also a mama of two. And today we are going to be talking about the subject of fertility. There's a lot of things to cover when you have a very knowledgeable health coach, but we decided that's where we would start because that's where the whole mamahood journey begins. So Nikita, you wanna just jump right into that?
Yeah, sure. I'm a health coach at Best Body Health Coach. We've got two lovely kids. The way I got into this actually was because after my second child, I was trying to fall pregnant. After my first, I was trying to fall pregnant with my second. And I actually got diagnosed with PCOS. I found out I had some issues there, and I had had two miscarriages, and I really had to look at for myself, what am I going to do here? Because I'm really not into, taking medications and things like that. I really wanted to handle it on my own and sort it out naturally. So I looked at what do I have to do to fix it, and how can I fall pregnant successfully, and changed my diet. And my parents actually have the Best Body Health Coach company, so I decided, okay, well, what better way to get sorted out by rather than just doing a health program? So I did the health program. I wasn't working with them at the time. I was doing something completely different, but obviously this was something I needed to sort out. So got onto the program and immediately noticed some differences and improvements, and I was feeling so much better. Obviously, I had been worried about different things, and so those things started clearing up for me. And I was like, okay, cool, this is working. I waited a while to try again, obviously to fall pregnant after the miscarriages, just because I really wanted to make sure I was going to be ready this time and not go through that again,
Right.
So yeah, we did the program and I cleaned up my diet and started taking some specific supplements, and I felt so much better and then fell pregnant like so easy as soon as we started trying, and it took and it stayed, and was a healthy, complication free pregnancy, and baby was healthy, etc. So it really made it, it made it like something certain for me that it is something that can be done. It can
Mm-hmm.
be fixed through natural methods. Obviously, everybody's different, and there are certain conditions that are worse than others. I'm not sure what my condition was in relation to other people specifically. I didn't compare, but I do know that it worked for me, and it has worked for many people that I've worked with. A lot of the clients, I've worked with, I see it on a daily basis with the people I work with having these improvements. So yeah, that's why I did it. And so now I'm a health coach, and that's what I do full time.
That's
Because I want to
amazing.
help,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to help other women who have the same kind of stuff going on, and make them feel better and have more success when it comes to fertility or losing mom weight after having babies and stuff like this. There's so many things that we deal with on a daily basis. So yeah, I love it, and that's why I do it every day.
That's amazing. It's really
Yeah.
cool too when you have your own personal, experience. You're not just talking from having read books or watching some
Yeah.
video or whatever. Like you've literally lived it. You know exactly what it feels like. So you get
Yeah.
the emotions that go into it and the work that goes into it and the commitment and everything else along with the actual like what do you do about these things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And makes it, yeah, and you have more empathy, and it, makes it like it makes me really care about the people I work with. I mean, obviously not just to like blow my own horn, but like, like, yeah, it is. It makes that difference because I have been there and I know what it feels like to be in that position. And, also feeling like you don't know what to do. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go and see a doctor, and the doctor's going to say, do this and do that, or take this medication. Like, you don't always want to be in that position where you're just going to have to do what the doctor says. Like, if you have someone who's been through it, who's done the research and can help you and guide you, like, this is such a workable thing in that sense that,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm here for. I'm the coach to help you through it and give you advice, give you the research that I did, and point you in the right direction and stuff. So yeah, it makes it so much easier to be able to help people having gone through it myself.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk
Yeah.
about fertility and the problems that people may run into? I mean, we might as well start with your personal experience or your,
Mhm.
that category to begin with. So PCOS is, if I understand correctly, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it is exactly what it sounds like, where your ovaries start producing cysts, and I'm sure
Yeah,
there's more to it. So why don't you explain like what that is and why it might affect
sure.
fertility?
Yeah, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, although it does say cystic, not everyone has cysts. Like
Hmm.
you have to get to a point, it has to progress to a point where you then have cysts on your ovaries. There are just specific symptoms that occur when you have PCOS. You might have hair growth in areas that, you shouldn't have hair growth, or you'll have some people get a deeper voice because of testosterone levels being off. Also, hair loss, you're losing your hair, or heavy periods that have lots of cramping or clotting, stuff like that, or sometimes not getting your period, like irregular periods. Like there's so many different symptoms that kind of lead up to that. But yeah, eventually if you leave it unhandled, then you will eventually get cysts on your ovaries. But they say that it cannot be healed, or they don't know like the terminated solution for it. But there are things that you can do naturally to reduce the size of your cysts. Some people's cysts have disappeared.
Hmm.
So, I mean, they say there's no solution to it, but if you can do some actual uh, natural handlings and follow your, natural research, there are ways that you can improve those conditions drastically, to the point where, for me right now, I have no symptoms of it anymore. But it's because I've done many years of a healthy lifestyle that I found worked for me, in terms of managing those symptoms. And I don't, if I was to go for a scan, I'm not sure what my cysts, the few cysts that I have, I don't know what size they would be now, but I don't feel any pain, whereas before I used to feel pain, and I
Right.
used to have other symptoms. So, I mean, no, no terminated handling, I guess, is relative to, who you're talking to.
Of course. Well, that's the thing, is like everybody is so individual. And that's like one of the things, I have a handful of friends that have gone through, the program at Best Body Health Coach, and
Mhm.
everybody is so individual. It's a very personalized thing. Like you can't say, well, everybody's infertility is handled by whatever, right? Like there's
Exactly.
no way, because
Yeah,
there's a million different reasons and everybody is going to be different. So
e-
yeah,
exactly.
so I guess like let's get into what should people look for, or what are the signs that somebody should look for if they're trying to get pregnant, or if they're looking at potentially conceiving in the near future. Look, we can start right at the beginning, like what are red flags, or what should people look out for?
Okay, so I mean, most women already have like a cycle tracker on their phone, tracking what happens through your cycle, when you have your period, when you ovulate. So those are really helpful, and noting what your symptoms are. Any person that you go to see for help with hormones or whatever, they would be interested in seeing what happens through your cycle. So it's always good to keep that. But yeah, red flags. I mean, a lot of women these days do have cramps or headaches or this or whatever happening during their cycle. So, you know, uh, it's not something, it might not be something out of the blue. Like, that's just normal. That's just what happens. So, unless you have already been diagnosed with something, I wouldn't necessarily suggest getting into like going and doing a bunch of testing, or getting super stressed about it before you've even started. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
good advice.
yeah, like there's so many times that natural ways, like just go and fall pregnant. You know what I mean? Like just do the deed, and it might just happen. Like don't get too into it before you've even started. I would say, unless you have something like that, you already know you have endometriosis, or you already know you've got thyroid issues or
Mhm.
something like that.
What is endometriosis?
So endometriosis is when you've got like endometrial tissue in your uterus or around the tubes, and it kind of constricts various areas, might constrict the egg from being able to go into your uterus. And it's almost like scar tissue. It causes pain, or almost like a cyst, and causes
Gotcha.
pain and collection of scar tissue in specific areas around your uterus. And it's really painful for a lot of women. I mean, it can make your periods quite intense,
Mm.
and it can affect fertility, because also sometimes sexual intercourse can be painful. And so obviously then it makes you not want to do it so much. And so then it makes it that much harder to fall pregnant. Um, but yeah, so unless you have a pre-existing condition or something you've already been diagnosed with, my recommendation would just be to think of your fertility or your conceiving journey as like a puzzle, and you've got various pieces that you got to get in place in order to fall pregnant or conceive. So, we've got things like making sure you've got a healthy diet, cut out sugars, refined carbohydrates, cut out anything that's inflammatory for your body.
Mm.
Just clean up your diet. Look at what can you do to improve your diet, make yourself more healthy. Cut out sodas, stuff like that. Make sure you get enough sleep. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Do some exercise. If you're not already like a, fitness person, like don't go and do like some major exercise program all of a sudden. Like just introduce it slowly and get your body moving. That's another piece of the puzzle. Like get your body moving. Do some light Pilates exercises or some yoga or whatever. Just
Mm.
walking is a good form of exercise if you're not already doing exercise. So do those kinds of things and get these various pieces of the puzzle in place and you know, start trying. And if you go through, I'd say about 6 cycles or even 10 cycles and you still haven't fallen pregnant, then I would say start, being a bit more like go get some checkups, and see what might be going on, because it
Mm.
might just take some time, you know. It depends maybe what time of the month you did it. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe you didn't do it enough during that month, or maybe that ovary doesn't release as many eggs as the other ovary, so you got to wait until next cycle. Like there's so many factors, and the more you stress out about it, I think the harder it's going to be,
Right.
because fertility and cortisol, which is the stress hormone, they don't go well together. So
Right.
you
Which
want,
seems to be the a lot of things in the biology of motherhood. Stress is like the anti mom,
right, right,
which is kind of
yeah.
hilarious because if you have toddlers, hello,
Mhm. Hello,
you
your cortisol levels are, if you've got toddler boys, especially, you know,
don't get me started. Yeah,
yeah.
no, but it's true. Like I talk about this a lot with, labor and like actually
Mm,
giving birth. The lower
mm,
your stress, the easier and the smoother your delivery tends to be. And it seems that
exactly.
that's true from before the beginning of the motherhood
Hmm.
journey all the way
Yeah,
through to, I'm sure, way past it. So,
exactly. And I mean, just in the environment in this day and age, you've got, stress at work, you've got stress with the kids, making sure they get to this and that, sports and school and all of this, and just pressures from the environment, from family, from coworkers, whatever. There's just so much
the
putting
news,
stress.
social
Yeah,
media, it's
the
always on.
news, social media, comparing yourself and your life to other people. Like there's so much that's geared towards increasing your stress levels, that sometimes it's like if you're going to get started on your journey to conceive and have babies, then it's good to kind of take a step back and look at, okay, what are you going to have to adjust to really calm things down for yourself
Mhm.
and enjoy this journey, because it's actually fun. It can be a game, like you can make it fun and romantic, and go away for a weekend, a romantic weekend, or like do stuff to make it exciting. And especially if it's your first baby, this is something that you can really put a lot of thought into. And so yeah, I would say sit back and look at, okay, what can you do to lower the stress levels? How can you kind of rearrange things to put your health and your wellness and your, for both you and your partner. I mean, I
Mm.
think this is a subject we also have to look at, is that, it's not just the woman, you know, there's a lot of pressure put on the female to fall pregnant. But of course, there's the other side. It takes two to tango in this game of conceiving a baby, right? So,
Right.
you gotta also look at the male's health. Do they smoke? Do they drink? Like, these are all things that will affect the quality of their sperm, the quantity of sperm. And, if you want to have a healthy baby, you're going to have healthy sperm and a healthy egg. You can't just
Mhm.
have one and then expect the outcome to be a healthy baby. So it's important to look at, okay, if you're going to start on this, you guys sit down together and go, okay, what can we do? What do we have to do? Let's clean up our diet. Let's, lower stress levels. Let's make sure we've got time for each other to actually do this activity and yeah, it's something that you can create and make fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have a question because so
Mm,
when I first decided to become pregnant with my first kid,
mm.
I thought, okay, my my body is not it's not tenable. Like literally, I'm gonna have a tenant inside, and
Right.
it's not great. And so I said, okay, I need like 3 months of just deep cleaning if we're
Right.
going to
Yeah.
compare it to an apartment, or whatever. um,
Yeah.
I was like, this place needs some sprucing up. I don't want to invite somebody in here and be like, this kind of
Right.
sucks. So
Yeah.
I quit, I quit coffee, I quit smoking, I wasn't like drinking a ton, but I was like not a drop of alcohol, clean, less sugar, less refined, whatever. I like 3 months, and I just kind of arbitrarily decided that. I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't research it as much. Is that a
Mm,
good amount of time? Would you recommend more, less? Like, let's say somebody's just got a garbage lifestyle,
mhm.
like some people I may have once known. Um, what kind of a time frame would you recommend?
I mean, I think 3 months is good, but I would recommend, if you have the time to plan it, if the timeline works out, I would say do it for, like, start getting yourself in shape a year before you're going to be
Mhm.
pregnant. Start eating healthy, because yeah, as you mentioned, you're going to have a tenant, and that tenant has to have all the stuff it needs. And if it doesn't have it in your body, it's going to start drawing it from other areas, and
Mhm.
you're not going to have what you need, for your own health. So it's going to start taking what you need for yourself as well. And then you're going to be, you know, you're not going to have what you need, supplements wise, in terms of what your body needs, your nutrients, etc. So they're going to all be going to the baby. So you got to make sure it's not just you, it's the baby, so it's two of you. So you got to make sure you got enough. So for a year, if you do it for a year before, you're going to make sure your body is healthy and that everything is there for the baby for that full, almost year that you're going to be carrying the baby as well, you know.
Right.
So I would say a year, but if I mean, there's no time better than now, So if you've only got a couple months, if you just found out you're pregnant and, you haven't been living the healthiest lifestyle, then start now. It's
Right.
better late than never. And, it also allows for a healthy pregnancy, if you have healthy habits. Um, Probably will make your cravings less, if you've got all the nutrients you need. Of course, there's always going to be some cravings happening, but
Right.
I tend to believe that cravings generally mean that there's a lack of something else, right?
I
So
agree with that.
yeah, so if, like,
Mhm.
let's look at it, in an ideal environment. Let's say you already had been doing this for a year. Imagine how good you would feel, you know, falling
Right.
pregnant and then now continuing with that healthy diet and lifestyle throughout your pregnancy. I mean, if you were to actually scientifically compare it to someone who didn't have a healthy lifestyle, I wonder who would have more cravings. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so I think it is in your best interest. It's not just for the baby, it's for yourself. I mean, you also have to think with what's going to happen after the baby. I mean, you're not going to have as much time as you did before to prepare all of these healthy meals for yourself and get as much sleep as you were getting before. And so you got to prepare your body for all of that it's going to be going through, all the stresses of lack of
Not to
sleep and this
mention,
and that.
hormonal changes do that's a whole nother topic. We can talk about what
Exactly.
happens during and
Oh yeah.
after pregnancy. Breastfeeding, you're
Hmm.
literally going to be keeping a baby alive using what's in your body. So like again, you're talking about, you have less sleep and appetite and less time to prepare foods and whatever, like
Hmm.
things to
Yeah.
things to consider. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, where is the body going to be getting the energy to and the nutrients to produce that milk if you haven't
Mhm.
been preparing your body for quite a bit of time before it
Right.
gets to that point? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would say if you can do it for a year before, but if not, just start as soon as you can, as soon as you can before you fall pregnant, or even if you're in the middle of your pregnancy and you decide, you know what, I want the rest of my pregnancy to be super healthy, like, good, do it at that point in time. It's
Mhm.
better late than never.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the subject of fertility. So let's say somebody's been trying to conceive, trying not to get stressed about it, trying to conceive. And
Yeah.
it's been some time and it's just not happening. And let's say overall the diet is more or less healthy, there's, an active lifestyle. What would you recommend this individual to do now? Like, are there tests or what would you do as the next step?
Yeah, I mean, there are tests that can be done for both the female and the male. I mean, there are a series of tests that like a fertility doctor would put you through. You wouldn't go and do like all of the tests all in one go. So I would say, go start doing some testing. You would, maybe start with getting a pap smear or getting an ultrasound of your ovaries and your uterus and seeing, do you have everything that needs to be there, or do you have something blocking, or do you have some fallopian tube blocking, or there's different things that may be happening. So if you've got a blockage on your fallopian tubes, obviously the egg and the sperm are never going to meet,
Hmm.
so that's obviously an issue. But then there's other issues that maybe the man might be having. I mean, there's a condition where the man can have like inflamed or swollen veins in his scrotum, and this could be blocking the sperm from coming out, or as many sperm, or damaging the sperm as it comes out, because it makes the hole tiny, and so then the
Hmm.
quality of sperm is less, and so they would have to get treated for that. And so there's lots of different things. So I would say, go and see a fertility doctor, or just go and start with by seeing your gynae and getting the usual basic stuff, and make sure you've got no, you know, on the surface issues. And then keep trying, keep your diet in, keep your supplements in, and stay positive. I know it's hard, when you're going through something like that. It can bring you down, and the stress obviously takes over. But as much as possible, try to stay positive about your journey. Like, even if you get to that point, there are so many other options. Like, you're right at the beginning, you've started
Hmm.
this journey and you're still right at the beginning. There's still so many options that you can look at if it gets to that point. So keep trying no matter what while you're getting these tests. But yeah, I mean, I could probably list some more tests, but the doctors will know what to check for, and they won't check everything all at once, and it will take
Hmm.
time. So that's why I say, just keep going for it while all of that is happening.
Sure.
Because sometimes even just taking the action of like, okay, let's go and do something about it, let's go get checked out, it might just change something, and then it happens,
Yeah, no,
It's
I'm a very firm believer in the concept of mind over matter. Like
yeah,
maybe the body is doing something funky, but like if you keep your mindset positive and you're like, nah, man, I'm gonna be in charge. I'm the boss here, not the body, right? Like that alone,
exactly. Yeah.
call it magic or whatever you want to call it. But I'm a firm believer that that is definitely a factor in
Yes.
and in anything, and particularly in this.
Me too. Yeah, I agree. And as I mentioned earlier, like, you want it to be a game and like be fun and exciting, like you're creating, you're gonna create life. you're creating another person, so it
Right.
can be something that's fun and exciting. It doesn't have to be stressful, although there are things that can make it stressful. As much as possible, try to keep that dream and that ideal, scene in mind, like what you have this healthy baby, like keep your eye on the mountain is basically what I'm trying to say. Like keep that
Totally.
there and it will happen.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Hmm.
All right. So, anything else that we want to cover in terms of, I think we had mentioned like different supplements and things that you think you would recommend to somebody who is in whatever stage of trying to conceive. Are there
Yeah.
any particular supplements or dietary restrictions or anything like that specific to fertility?
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of a sequence, I mean, obviously we discussed, cleaning up your diet and your lifestyle, make sure you get enough sleep, get your exercise in. If you're a smoker, whether it's you or your husband or both of you, I would highly recommend stopping smoking, or severely cutting down on the smoking, because tobacco can definitely affect the quality of your eggs, the quality of sperm, your hormones,
Mm.
the productivity of your ovulation, etc. So that just cut that out if you can. Also, alcohol consumption, so try to not consume alcohol in excess, or if possible stop consuming alcohol for this time. I mean, if you're going to fall pregnant, you're going to have to stop anyway, so might as well start now, right?
Right.
So yeah, those are things that can affect it for sure. But yeah, and when I talk about cleaning up your diet as well, like the reason I say cut out sugar and cut out inflammatory foods like even grains or potatoes or rice, like if you have any conditions in your reproductive area, like PCOS or any endometrial tissue that might be contributing to any fertility issues or whatever, having inflammatory foods are just going to make those conditions worse, because
Mm.
they're already inflamed to the degree that they're a cyst or it's tissue that shouldn't be there. So that in itself is inflammation, right? So
Mhm.
if you're now going to consume foods that are going to make it worse, then that's obviously not going to contribute to fertility. So I would
Right.
say just, try to keep it really clean in terms of your diet. And eat lots of good veggies and good proteins and good fats and stuff. But also you've got things like lowering your stress levels, which we already discussed, and then taking supplements. So, supplements that I would recommend, there are so many natural supplements that are good for balancing hormones. Like one is called maca. A lot of people have heard of it, and some people haven't heard of it. But
How do you spell that?
it's like MACA,
Oh,
maca.
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like has like a nutty kind of a flavor, but it's like a plant, and they grind it up and it becomes a powder. You can either get it in capsules or you can get it in a powder. People use it to cook with or put it in their smoothies. It's almost like a smoothie mix. You could put it in a smoothie mix or whatever. And it's really good for balancing hormones. So you could just take it on a daily basis. Both the man and the woman can take it.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you've got um, a good D3, K2 supplement, that really helps too. Because, obviously going out in the sun would be the best form of, consuming D3. But obviously
Mhm.
now we're so busy and we're not always able to go in the sun. And sometimes, depending on where you live, the sun is not there very often. So yeah, taking some D3K2 really helps improve fertility as well.
Hmm.
Zinc, helps with sperm quality and sperm count. So that's something that a man could take to improve his fertility. And then,
And is there any particular form or just
I personally prefer zinc picolinate just because it's easily absorbed by the body.
mm.
So that would be my recommendation. But I mean, any good quality zinc, as long as it doesn't have like hidden sugars or carbs in it.
One thing
Um,
I would say about zinc is don't take it on an empty stomach. I did that once and I thought I was gonna die. Like
yeah, exactly.
it
Yeah,
hurts.
most supplements you should definitely make sure you've eaten something. Take it with a meal.
Yeah.
Some supplements you could, some herbal supplements like probably maca you could take without having food. But when it comes to, zinc or ascorbic acids and stuff like
Hmm.
that, you definitely don't want to take it on an empty stomach. But yeah, so I'm just thinking any other supplements on a normal basis. If you're trying to fall pregnant, my best recommendation would be go and find yourself a good food-based prenatal and just start taking that because
Hmm.
prenatals generally have all the things you need to create a healthy environment for a baby. So
Hmm.
a prenatal is not always just intended for when you're already pregnant. It actually has all the things to create this all the nutrients that the baby might need and make your body tenable. So um, things like folate that definitely improves fertility. And those are usually in prenatals. So,
Right.
I personally like Dr. Berg's supplements. He's got so many good supplements that are, well researched and well manufactured and, not super processed and stuff. So he's got this really good food-based prenatal and it has everything that you need. It's got
Hmm.
the right amount of D3, it's got the right amount of folate, it's got all of the supplements that you might need, except for trace minerals. It doesn't have trace minerals, but he does have a trace mineral as well. So
Hmm.
he's kind of like this one-stop shop of everything you might need.
Yeah, I
Um,
can I can definitely vouch for. So I actually literally just finished writing a blog post where I was
oh,
writing
cool.
about I was thinking I'm like I have all these like health resources that I really trust and I really like, and
Hmm.
Dr. Berg is one of them among
Yeah,
others, including
yeah,
Nick Howard. Um,
yeah.
and so I just finished writing this whole thing up and I was like, honestly, like Dr. Berg knows his stuff. If you listen to just 30 seconds of any video of his, the guy is the real deal. Like he knows his stuff, and I've used his supplements. I definitely can vouch for the quality. I didn't know he had a prenatal though. Somehow I completely missed that.
Yeah, it might be new, but a lot of my clients recently, when I've been looking for something, I used to just say, okay, cool, get his D3K2, whatever, and then all of a sudden, a couple of months ago, I was like, what? He has a prenatal, and then I looked into it, and it's like got all of these things that you need, and it's food based, and obviously because that's what he recommends. He has quite a lot of videos as well about how to improve your fertility and also like how long you should be doing these things before you fall pregnant and even videos for later like when you want to transition your baby from breast milk to solids, like how to go about doing that. There's so many good things that he goes over.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about having a food-based prenatal. So there you go, there's
That's
his
amazing.
food-based prenatal. He's like,
Perfect.
you know what, nobody else is doing this, I might as well just do it so that
I kind of feel like that's his whole thing is like,
yeah.
like people need to be hydrated. They need trace minerals. Ugh, nobody's got a good product. I'll just do it myself,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, that would be, an easy way to do it. You just get everything you need from that prenatal, and then just couple it with some trace minerals. And then, for the women, I would say also eat a lot of eggs. Eggs have
Hmm.
so many good nutrients that you need. It has omegas, it has the right amount of fats, it has the right amount of protein, and it's basically everything you need to, you know, if you were just to eat eggs, you would probably survive really well. If you didn't have anything else and you just had eggs to eat, then, as long as they were like, uh pasture raised and hormone free, etc. But yeah, that's perfect. Eating a lot of eggs, eating if you can, if people can do it, some people cannot, but eat organ meats.
Hmm.
Um, but nowadays there is actually a lot of people doing organ meats in powder form in a capsule. So
So maybe it's because I'm Russian. I don't know, but like my husband is gonna watch this. He'll be like, "Ugh, here she goes again." Um, I love organ meats. Like if
yeah.
you learn how to cook them right,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
like
that is the point. You have to cook them right because
mhm.
I feel like a lot of people say that they don't like organ meats, but it's just because whoever cooked it wrong because
If
it
you
can be,
overcook liver, it's disgusting. It's like
yeah,
powdery chalk. Like
yeah,
like your
exactly.
sticks to the inside of your
And
mouth.
that
It's
can turn someone off,
a hundred percent.
forever.
Yes. So if you know me, I'll have my
Mm,
dad cook up some liver. He makes the absolute best.
nice.
Gizzards. We
Mm.
just made up a batch of gizzards in the Instant Pot. People are
Hmm.
going to be like tuning out. I'm going to turn them off with
Yeah,
this
they're like,
image.
no way, I'm not watching this anymore.
These women are crazy.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Like
Yeah.
they can be an
There's
acquired taste, but there's supplements. There are supplements now. You're right.
yeah,
People are making capsules or whatever. So.
exactly. And there are a lot of good ones out there that don't have like, fillers and other stuff in them. It's
Mhm.
literally just powdered organ meats. And yeah, I mean, if you can't stand the taste of actual organ meats, then just go and get some of those. Because they're so high in nutrients and even iron. I mean, you're going to need a lot of iron because your body is going to be doubling the amount of blood in your body to
Mhm.
provide for this baby. And then later, when you give birth, you might be losing some blood. So you're going to have your iron in check. So organ meats are great for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nuts and seeds also, they're really good for getting the nutrients you need, the good amounts of fats that you need, and omegas and oils and stuff. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that you should eat. But let's also, I think, look at if someone has PCOS, what
Mhm.
supplements they should be taking because again, to manage the symptoms that you might be having and improve your rates, your fertility as someone with PCOS, that is one of it is a big factor when it comes to not being able to have children. So many women that I work with have tried to have kids and they always have trouble doing it because they've got PCOS. So they might have a few miscarriages and then eventually fall pregnant, So as much as possible, we want to eliminate that prior period where it's like a few failures before success, So if you're eating right and you're taking the right supplements, it can eliminate that. So let's see. Okay, so if someone has PCOS, what you got to try to do is there's a supplement called inositol, and it's a you should get a blend called Myo inositol, and it's a 40-to-1 ratio. And it's just a powder. It actually tastes really nice because inositol is like it's like a form of sugar that your body creates itself. Um, so yeah, I mean, it basically is a bit sweet. It's like this powder, you put it in a little bit of water and you drink it, and it's a bit sweet. Tastes nice. It's quite pleasant, but you could get it in capsules if you want to. But it really helps with PCOS symptoms. It improves your egg quality. It improves, the balance of your hormones, etc. And it helps with those other symptoms that you might be experiencing, like hair loss or facial hair or hair on
Hmm.
other parts of your body that you're growing, or it balances out the testosterone levels, stuff like that. So that's definitely something if you have PCOS and you're trying to fall pregnant, or even if you're not trying to fall pregnant, if you're just trying to manage your PCOS symptoms in general, you got to take some of this stuff. It's kind of like, so a lot of people who have PCOS take metformin as a drug to handle their PCOS symptoms, but there are lasting side effects to taking metformin. So if you don't want to get involved with those kind of side effects and you want to go a natural route, then look at this inositol. The inositol is perfect. Um, and also taking berberine with every meal, well, 2 times a day with meals. Berberine is a supplement that helps to lower your blood sugar levels.
Hmm.
And so I mean, I have to explain a bit more. So PCOS comes from an insulin resistance, basically. So if you have an insulin resistance and you're susceptible to PCOS, either genetically, like from your family, or it's just resulted from you being insulin resistant over a long period of time. Now you got to start bringing your blood sugar levels down to then lower the inflammation in the area and get your body more sensitive to insulin again. And berberine is going to help you do that. And that's how it helps to kind of counter what has occurred with the body now creating PCOS as a condition, as a result of insulin resistance. So the thing with berberine, though, is the moment you have that positive test, stop taking the berberine, because you can't take it when you're pregnant. So
Mm.
take it prior when you're trying to fall pregnant, but not past that point. But it is really helpful with handling PCOS. And also NAC. So NAC is called, I mean, the long name for it is N-acetylcysteine or something like that. So it's easier to just say NAC. But NAC is good for just balancing hormones in general, lowering inflammation, yeah, handling PCOS symptoms like, your menstrual cycle, cramping, heavy bleeding, etc. Kind of just regulates all of that. So,
Mm.
yeah, those are some really important supplements for someone who is trying to handle PCOS and fall pregnant or just manage PCOS symptoms in general. So, yeah,
That's
that's what
amazing.
that's what I had to kind of figure out when I had my own issues. And by taking these things, I was able to get so much under control that I didn't even really realize I was experiencing until I started seeing that they weren't there anymore. You know what I mean? It's it was amazing. Like until I got diagnosed, I was kind of just living with various symptoms, thinking that that's just what happens when you get your period every month
Yeah.
or whatever. And then when I started having miscarriages, I was like, that's not normal.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So and then as soon as I started taking these things and balancing my hormones through my diet and these supplements that were kind of supporting the process, then I continued doing that for a few months and really getting my body in check and like making sure everything was good. And then when I tried again, it was just so simple, because all of the pieces of the puzzle were in place, you know? So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's very cool.
Mhm.
And I love, like, I think I'm gonna have to clip that part of this video, because fall if you're trying to become pregnant or not,
Yeah.
nobody wants to be dealing with symptoms of PCOS. Honestly, even if you haven't been diagnosed with PCOS, but you just think you have, I
Hmm.
imagine you can take these supplements even
Absolutely.
so and still get a
Yeah.
benefit from them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the women that I work with on our program, it's not that they've necessarily been diagnosed with PCOS, but if you look at the body shape of women, if you look at the various symptoms they run into on a monthly basis, you can tell that there are some issues with the ovary area of their hormones, whether it's reproductive, because maybe they've been trying to fall pregnant or not. But if there's an ovary issue, a lot of these supplements definitely help. So cleaning up your diet and supplementing with these supplements, those two things combined, it makes such a difference. You'll if you do it so, like routinely, and you just carry on doing it for a few months, you'll literally start to see the shape of your body changing. Like,
So, can we talk about that for a second? Because
yeah.
I haven't looked into this a whole lot, but, like,
Mhm.
I've sort of surface glanced at it, and some
Yeah.
of the things, like, whatever people say, oh, she's got a curvy body, she's got a this or a pear shaped or whatever. What are some
Hmm.
of the things that you might look for? Like, I know, like, there's something about, like, thigh size, right? Like, that's
Hmm.
that's an indicator. What are
Yeah.
some of the things to look for, in yourself when you look in the mirror? What are some of the things you may see that might be a hint, maybe not, but might be a hint that there might be an issue there to look into?
Yeah. So, if you think of it like this, so the body has protective mechanisms, just like any animal or any organism. So let's say you have trouble with your ovaries, your body is going to start collecting fat around that area as a protective mechanism. It's like padding to kind of
Mhm.
protect it from anything that might, affect it. And so that's why you've got the woman with the wider hips and the bigger bum and, kind of a little bit of like maybe a lower tummy kind of a thing. And it kind of just generally collects around that area.
Hmm.
Then let's say you've got thyroid issues. Thyroid is responsible for metabolism. So you're going to be having a slow metabolism, or even if so, let's say you have a hyperthyroid, that's a completely different condition. But we're talking about, let's say you got a sluggish thyroid, now your metabolism is going to be sluggish. And so your body shape is going to be more like chubby all around. Like you're just going to be gaining weight. You'll have kind of thicker upper arms, or you'll just kind of be finding that you're just generally gaining weight. You used to be, even if you used to be curvy, or with a thin waist, or you used to be kind of a little bit more, yeah, bottle shape or whatever,
Smelt.
then you'll start, yeah, you'll start you'll start to see, now you're starting to get like even bigger boobs, or like thicker arms, and even maybe your ankles are getting a bit more fat or whatever.
Mm.
Like it just causes general weight gain if you have a sluggish thyroid. um and then let's say like adrenal issues. So in men, it generally kind of the phenomena is having like love handles at the back. They have these love handles over their belt,
Hmm.
the fat on the back just above the belt. So that's like adrenal stress, because that's kind of where the fat collects to protect it. And also like around our face. So what happens is that the cortisol kind of pulls the fat and the proteins and the energy out of your butt and your thighs, and starts to put it around your face. And so you start, if you've got like high stress levels and your adrenals are failing or fatigued, then you'll start to see your butt gets more flat, and your thighs start to feel weaker, like it's harder to stand up, and you'll get a chubbier face. Like if you're going to stand up off of a couch or off of your seat, and or climbing upstairs, then you're like, oh, my legs, you know. So yeah, those are like adrenal. And let's say like liver. Okay, so liver issues, you'll start to have more of a protruding pot belly, like a harder belly, rather than, you know, like a squishy, flabby belly. So that's now your body protecting its liver. You'll see people who drink a lot of alcohol having bellies like
Hmm.
that, right?
Beer belly,
So
right? That's what it's called. It's called a beer belly. Right.
exactly. So that's because they now have a fatty liver, and that's now the body trying to protect that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's really, when we do, so like I mean, I haven't really said much about our how our program works. So the way we do it is, so someone comes to us, they do our online health assessment, and the health assessment really gets into the nitty gritty of like, do you wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning? How is your menstrual cycle? And different things that you might even not know are an issue, like, definitely like hair loss around your period, or do you have like a cavity in the middle of your tongue? Like, there's various things that you may not even think indicate different things in your body, but they do. So, thus, assessment really goes into all of that. And then we break it down into, do you have ovary issues? Do you have thyroid issues, adrenal, liver? And we look at all four of those. And then we take that, all the information you gave us, and we create a personalized program for you to handle those areas. And once we get those areas in place and those things operating well, your body becomes more healthy, and it naturally starts to lose weight, or it
Right.
naturally starts to become more fertile or whatever. And that's why, women that I work with, we go, okay, cool. These are the hormones we have to balance. This is what's happening in the body. We get the body healthy, and they become more fertile and,
Amazing.
able to fall pregnant easier. So yeah, we look at the questions, but we also get the person to send us some pictures of themselves, so we can see what is the shape of their body and what are we really dealing with here. Yeah.
Love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a peek here at see if we covered everything, because we covered a lot. That was a
Yeah.
lot of information.
Yeah, it was.
Um, yeah, I think we covered most of it. I mean, unless you have any other sort of final thoughts or final words for the mom out there who's maybe considering getting pregnant or has been trying for some time and is feeling a bit discouraged, what would you
Mm.
tell her?
I mean, I would tell her, come and see me, come and speak to me, do our online health assessment, and talk to me, see if I can help you. Um, but also, keep in mind that there are usually things that can be done about it, and you're not alone. There are lots of women out there who have gone through the same thing you have, and there are solutions. Whether, eventually you have to go different routes, down the road. Let's try to do what we can. I mean, my intention and my purpose is to help as many women as I can to live healthier lives. And if that means you're wanting to fall pregnant and have a baby, then the best thing you can do for yourself, whether you fall pregnant or not, is get your body healthy, because no matter what you have to face down the road, you're going to be able to face it better if you're feeling good about yourself. You have your hormones in check, and it makes confronting or handling anything that you're running into in life that much easier if you don't have adrenal issues, you don't have thyroid issues, you don't have ovary issues. When you're feeling good, it makes it easier to do that. So yeah, we'll put the link to the health assessment in the description below,
Mm-hmm.
and it's free. So, it takes only a few minutes, do it, and we can do a consultation call. The consultation is also free. So we're making it as easy as possible for you to find out more about it. And then we can go from there. If you want to sign up for the program, then that's totally up to you. But at least you can see what is happening in your body when you do the health assessment and get the information about that. And maybe just that'll help you out. But I know for sure that doing our program will also just set you up for success either way. It might help you fall pregnant, or it might help you just, get your body doing that much better. And, again, there's no better time to improve your diet and your lifestyle than right now. I mean, anyone can always make improvements to their diet and lifestyle, I think.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And I know you guys are based in South Africa, but you have clients all over
All
every
over.
continent.
Yeah, we have clients all over. We have a lot of people in the United States. We have people in Canada, England, New Zealand, Australia. We have a few in Sweden, Switzerland, Italy, like so many, like everywhere. I think we even have someone in Hawaii right now. Like it's like from all parts of the world. And yeah, we're based in South Africa, but we work kind of like all hours to service our clients. So
That's
they
amazing. And I
yeah.
mentioned it at the outset, but I've personally seen the before and after pictures. You guys don't call yourself a weight loss program, obviously, because it's
No.
far, far deeper and more comprehensive than
Yeah,
just a fad to lose some pounds. But you can
exactly.
see in the before and after pictures, not only are people losing weight, but they look brighter. Their faces. I'm looking at myself right now. My light somehow turned very yellow, and I look like I have jaundice. But people look brighter. They're dropping the bags under their eyes, and their faces look less sunken in, and they just
Yeah,
look more alive because they are like physically more alive, right? So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely focus more on getting your body healthy, and we're not about like starving you into weight loss or something like that. Like that's really not what we want. The weight loss happens as a healthy side effect to getting your body healthy. We want healthy weight loss. If you're losing weight from being starving all the time, that's not healthy. Your body, there's a way to go about making sure that, like, there's actually natural hormones in your body that are supposed to make you lose weight, and there's things that get in the way of those hormones working. So when you take those things away, those hormones that actually are supposed to make you lose weight, they actually do their job, you know,
Mhm.
and then you can
This is
actually
what I
naturally
love,
lose weight.
man. I
Yeah.
love this because the whole point is to get to the root cause, right?
Yeah.
Like there are symptoms in your body, like you were mentioning before, like the body is designed in a most brilliant fashion where,
Mhm.
things that are probably terrible and uncomfortable are actually survival mechanisms of the
Mhm.
body to protect itself. So when you have the cramps or you have the fat or you have the pain or you have the weakness in your bones, like whatever, there's a million different symptoms.
Yeah.
But they all have a real reason. There's an actual root cause. And if you're working with somebody or even you're just doing your own research, like you have to find the people that are not just gonna give you metformin, right? Like they're not just gonna give
Exactly.
you a drug that masks the symptom because while it makes you feel better for a little bit, perhaps, you never actually get down to the bottom of what's actually happening, so you can never actually fix it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Exactly true. And what's cool about our program, just to say this last thing, is that we have coaches that work with you every day. It's not like you're doing a weekly check in or a monthly check in. Over the 60 days, you have someone who's working with you daily. You can ask them questions at any point in time. If you're running into something, you say, hey, I've got a headache today or whatever, your coach is going to be there to say, cool, let's do this or let's do that. And it also makes it like adaptable or like fluid. You're not going to be doing the same thing and not getting any results. If something we're doing is not working, we're going to adjust it and we're going to make sure that each week you're seeing improvements. That's really one of the things that makes our program very successful.
I love it. So yes, we
Yeah.
will definitely put a link in the description for that free assessment. But otherwise, can people find you on social media or a website or anything else that they can locate you or read up on
Oh,
you?
absolutely. Yeah, we've got a website. We can put the link to that as well. We've got a Facebook page. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on everywhere, LinkedIn. So just look for us, Best Body Health Coach, or just search for me and you'll find what I post, whatever. You'll find us somewhere. So
You'll find a very cute little girl talking about how she doesn't eat sugar and how everybody else should not eat sugar. That video of your
yeah.
daughter was
She
absolutely
was
adorable.
so cute. As I'm sure you saw, I've been making a lot of videos. And so she's like, every day was asking me like, can I be in your video? Can I be in your video? And every day I was like trying to think of something that she can do or say. There was one video I was able to include her in, but she was like, no, I want to make my own video. And
Aw.
I literally didn't even tell her what to say. I put my camera there and she was like, okay, guys. So the worst thing you can do is eat sugar.
It's so cute.
Right?
Oh,
I
man.
know. Yeah, she's great. And she really is proud of her healthy lifestyle and she takes pride in how healthy she is. So, yeah, it's really awesome to raise
I
kids
love
this
that.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to have you back on to discuss. There's so many other topics, fertility
Mm,
was obviously a big one, but then there's like,
yeah,
healthy diets for kids or pregnancy,
absolutely.
fitness, whatever. Like we can go into all sorts of other things. I think this was
Totally.
great. I think people will get a lot
Yeah.
out of this episode. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, and
Thank
we'll
you
make
for
sure that
having me.
absolutely the description will have all the links where people can find you and stalk you and find out all the information before they sign up and get their best body back, right?
That's right. That's our slogan. Get your
All
best
right.
body back.
Wonderful. All right,
All
everybody.
right.
We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining. Bye now.
Bye.